Hello everyone and welcome back to my class. From last video, we have discussed a lot about many parts of speech, right? But we'll still have 4 more to go. Let's start with the first one today. That is adverb. The adverb is used in order to describe 3 things. The first one, as you can see from the name, adverb, that's right. So we normally use the adverb in order to describe verbs. What else? It can be used in order to describe adjective and another adverb. Interesting. Okay. And they provide information about how, when, where, how often something is happening and to what degree. Okay, let's see more details. Let's start with the first type of the adverb that is called adverb of manner. Okay, so this is to tell how something happens. So normally we can use the question how in order to get this kind of answer. And when we answer this kind of question, we normally use the adverbs of manner. And they are usually placed either after the main verb or after the object. So there are many possibilities in order to place this kind of adverbs. Most adverbs of manner end in ly. I have to say that most of them because we have both like ending with ly and some of them they do not have those suffixes. Okay, like the word badly, happily, sadly, slowly, quickly, and others that include like the word well, hard, and fast. Let's see. He swims well. He ran quickly. He spoke softly. James coughed loudly to attract her attention. He plays the flute beautifully. And he ate the chocolate cake greedily. Okay, so you can see that these ly and also some other adverbs of manner are used in order to modify the verb, and that is to answer the question of how, right? For example, how does he swim? He swam well. How did he run? He ran quickly. How did she speak? She spoke softly. Okay, let's see the position of the adverbs of manner. Adverbs of manner cannot be put between a verb and its direct object because this kind of adverb must be placed either before the verb or at the end of the clause. For example, he gave us generously the money. So we don't say this way, but it's possible for 2 ways. The first one, he gave us the money generously. That is like the end of the sentence, okay? Or another one, he generously gave us the money. So that is before the verb. And if there is a preposition before the verb's object, the adverb of manner can be placed either before the preposition or after the object. Okay, so that is another case. For example, the child ran happily towards his mother, or the child ran towards his mother happily. So you can see that the word happily is the adverb of manner and is placed before the preposition, or probably it can be placed after the object. And adverbs of manner should always come immediately after verbs which have no object, or intransitive verbs. Can you remember intransitive verbs? The verb that do not require any object. Okay, so the town grew quickly after 1997. So the word grew here, this is the intransitive verb. We do not have any object right after it. So it's possible that we could just put the word quickly right after that verb. Okay, and these common adverbs of manner like well, badly, hard, or the word fast are almost always placed directly after the verb. Let's see. He swam well despite being tired, or the rain fell hard during the storm. So we have 2 words here, well and hard. So this kind of adverbs of manner normally placed right after the verb. Okay, so just put it right after the verb. Next one is adverb of time. So if it is adverb of manner, that is to answer the question of how. What about adverb of time? What kind of question that can be used in order to ask for this kind of answer? That should be when, right? So adverbs of time, that is to tell us when an action happened. Adverb of time are invariable, so it's not like other type of adverbs. So it means that we cannot use interchangeably. Okay, they are extremely common in English, and adverbs of time have standard positions in a sentence depending on what the adverb of time is telling us. What do we have for adverbs of time? Afterwards, already, immediately, last month, now, soon, later, then, today, and yesterday. We have a lot of words for adverbs of time. How can we use them in the sentence? For example, I'm going to tidy my room tomorrow. Okay, I saw Sally today. I will call you later. I have to leave now. I saw that movie yesterday. She stayed in the bear's house all day. Okay, so they are adverbs of time. That is to talk about when. So it's possible that we can ask some kind of question and we can tell the time by using the adverbs of time. For example, when are you going to tidy your room? I'm going to tidy my room tomorrow. Okay, and when did you see Sally? I saw Sally today. Okay, so that is the adverbs of time. Okay. Next one is the adverbs of place. So, adverb of manner, that is about how. Adverb of time, that is about when. What about this one? Adverb of place. So that should be about where. Okay, so we use adverbs of place in order to tell us where something happens. And adverbs of place are usually placed after the main verb or after the clause that they modify. Okay, and adverb of place do not modify adjectives or other adverbs. As I mentioned earlier, that adverbs can be used in order to modify three things, right? Verb, adjective, and adverbs. But this type of adverb is a little bit special because it's used to modify verbs only. What do we have here? We have above, below, here, outside, over there, under, upstairs, away, everywhere, nowhere, out, abroad. Okay, let's see some examples. John looked around, but he couldn't see the monkey. I searched everywhere I could think of. They built a house nearby. I took the child outside. Okay, so you see that we just use the word around, everywhere, nearby, outside in order to modify the verb. And we can ask some kind of questions like, where did they build a house? They built a house nearby. Where did she take the child? She took the child outside. Okay. Next is adverbs of frequency. When you see the word frequency, think about how often. Okay, so these adverbs tell about how often or how many times an action occurs. And it also gives an idea about frequency of occurrence of an action. So think about this. When you hear the word frequency, think about how many times that action happened. Okay, what do we have here? Wow, a lot, right? We have the word like again, almost, always, ever, frequently, generally, hardly ever, nearly, nearly always, never, occasionally, often, rarely, seldom, sometimes, twice, usually, and weekly, and a lot more. Okay, so in the sentence it will look like this. I often eat vegetarian food. He never drinks milk. You must always fasten your seatbelt. I am seldom late and he rarely lies. So some of them you have seen in some kind of tense, right? For example, like present simple tense, okay? So we are using them in order to answer the question of how often or how many times. So it's possible that we can ask some kind of question like this. How often do you eat vegetarian food? Oh, I often eat vegetarian food. And that is like the repetition. Maybe you just say, I often eat them. Okay. What else? He never drinks milk. Probably we can say, how often does he drink milk? He never drinks milk. What else? What about the last one? How many times does he lie? He rarely lies. Oh, he's a good guy. Okay. What else do we have? We have what is called adverbs of degree. Okay, adverbs of degree. So that is about to tell the intensity of something or to what extent. Okay, to what extent. And normally these kind of adverbs are usually placed before the adjective, adverb, or verb that they modify, although there are some kind of exceptions. Okay, so this one you can see if we compare from like the previous adverbs, most of them are used in order to modify verbs. But this one, for adverbs of degree, we can use adverbs of degree in order to modify three part of speech. They are verbs, adverb, and adjectives. What do we have here? We have the word almost, much, nearly, quite, really, so, to, and very. Like this. The first one. The water was extremely cold. The movie is quite interesting. He was just leaving. She has almost finished. She is running very fast. You are walking too slowly and you are running fast enough. Okay, so as I mentioned that adverbs of degree can be used in order to modify verbs, adjective, and adverbs. Okay, let's see the first one. Which sentence that we use the adverbs to modify the verb? Where is that? Well, that should be the third one. He was just leaving. We use the word just to modify the word leaving. And also the fourth sentence. She has almost finished. That is the word almost to modify the word finished. Okay. What about which sentence that we have the adverbs of degree to modify the adjective? Well, what about the first sentence? The word cold in the first sentence, that is the adjective, right? And we use the word extremely to tell to what extent, about the degree, okay? That is, we use the word extremely to modify the adjective. And also in the second sentence, the movie is quite interesting. The word interesting is the adjective, and we use the word quite to modify that adjective. Okay. But what about we are using the adverbs of degree to modify other adverbs? Let's see. Well, that should be the fifth sentence. She is running very fast. So if we are talking about the word fast, that is the adverb to modify the word running. But here we also have the word very, adverbs of degree to modify the word fast. Good. And also you are walking too slowly. The word slowly is used to modify the word walking, while the word too, that is used to modify the word slowly. So you can see from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the first 6 sentences, we are using the adverbs of degree before, okay, before the adjective, or it can be before the verbs, right? But what about the last one, the last sentence? You are running fast enough. Well, we are using the word enough to modify the word fast. So here is the exception. It means that if you are using the word enough, that should be after the adverb that you want to modify. Okay, let's move on with another type of adverb. This one is a little bit confusing with what is called conjunction. Here it's called conjunctive adverb. Okay, what is it? Conjunctive adverb function as conjunction to ease the transition between ideas in a sentence or between sentences. Okay, so it will look like the conjunctions. It functions as the conjunction, that is to join two sentences together by showing comparison, contrast, sequence, cause effect, or other relationships between ideas. And when we are using the conjunctive adverb to join two main clauses, it acts as a coordinating conjunction. Now, we will discuss about the word coordinating conjunction later by connecting two separate and complete ideas. To connect two clauses, what you need is called semicolon, not a comma. So it means that when we are talking about the conjunctive adverb, it's pretty similar to conjunction. Okay, it's pretty similar to conjunction. That is to join two ideas, two like clauses together, but it's a little bit different for the punctuation that we normally use. We normally use the comma in order to join two clauses together, but if it is conjunctive adverb, that will be the semicolon, just like this. Okay, so you can see that I have several examples for you here. The first one, the first sentence, you can see like the heavy traffic on 5th Street made Claire think twice about stopping by the mall. That is the first clause, and then followed by the semicolon. Moreover, she had a huge science paper due the next morning. So in this case, that will be conjunctive adverb. What about another one? John was tired after a long day at school, and then full stop, and then period, right? And here this is a complete sentence. And if you want to just like start another sentence, so you can just use the conjunctive adverb and then comma. So it's another story. It's not like I didn't say that we can't use the comma with conjunctive adverb, but we don't normally use with when we are joining two clauses together. Okay, so it means that if we are using like two clauses together, we normally use semicolon. But if you are not joining those two clauses together, just like the introduction of some kind of sentence, it's also possible to use the comma. Okay, like therefore he immediately took a nap when he got home. Or Anna dropped her cell phone in the swimming pool. This is the complete sentence. She will therefore have to do extra chores to earn money for a new one. So the word therefore is used between the sentence. Okay, in the middle of the sentence is also possible. George made a poor grade on his midterm exam. That is the complete sentence. He is determined, nevertheless, to get an A in the class. Okay, so that is another way that you can use the conjunctive adverb within the sentence. Okay, so it means that if you see this kind of like conjunctive adverb, so or it looks like the conjunction, but it appears in the sentence. Okay, that is the conjunctive adverb. It's not the conjunction. And if you see like whenever you are joining two clauses together and you are using the semicolon, that will be just the conjunctive adverb. Because once that you are used the conjunction, that will be another way when you are writing, when you are composing the sentence. Okay? And here, I just want to make sure that you really understand about the conjunction because I haven't discussed about the conjunction earlier. Here, I drank a glass of water because I was thirsty. Okay, so we have two clauses. The first one, I drank a glass of water, that is main clause, and I was thirsty, that is subordinate clause. And we use the word because to join these two clauses together. Or another way, we can say because I was thirsty, I drank a glass of water. So that is conjunction and then subordinate clause, comma, main clause. So we have like different formula when you are using the conjunction if you compare to conjunctive adverbs. Next one is interrogative adverb. Interrogative again, right? So before we have seen interrogative pronoun, interrogative adjective, and here this is interrogative adverb. So what do we have here? We have where, when, why, and the set of how. I have to say that the set of how, okay? And we normally place at the beginning of a question. For sure, we are using them in order to ask the question. So it should be there at the beginning of the question. And this kind of questions can be answered with a sentence or a prepositional phrase, okay? And the prepositional phrase, it will look like in the box, in the class, on the table, stuff like that. Okay, so that is the prepositional phrase. And after an interrogative adverb in a question, the subject and verb must be inverted so that the verb comes first. And that is very normal. For example, where is my passport? When does the train arrive? Why are you so late? How did you make this sauce? How many people are coming to the party? How much flour do I need? How often do you go to London? Okay, so we can have like where, when, why, how, and the set of how, like how many, how much, how often, how far, everything that is to ask the question. So if you think about the previous adverb that we have discussed earlier, like we use the adverb of manner to answer the question how, we use the adverb of place to answer the question where, we use the adverb of time to answer the question when, we use the adverb of frequency to talk about how many. So that's the reason, right? So when, where, why, how, that is the adverb. So that is to make sure that all of this, they are adverb, not something else. Okay. Next one. This is called relative adverb. Okay, again, we have relative pronoun. We have relative adjective that we have discussed before, right? And this is relative adverb. So you just think about the previous one that we've just discussed. That is where, when, why, and also how. But it's mentioned that how is also a relative adverb with the limited use, okay? Because that will be like how to or stuff like that. But anyway, it's possible to use this for adverbs as a relative adverb, and they are used in order to introduce the relative clauses. For example, we have where, okay, to introduce the information that relates to a place, like the place that can be any location, it can be a house, city, country, geographical region, or even a planet. Okay. For example, the house where I was born is a very special place. Paris, where I want to live, is the most beautiful city in the world. I'll always remember the river where we learn to swim. Okay, so we use the word where to modify the noun before it. Okay, like the word where in the first sentence, where I was born, that is to modify the word house. Where I want to live, that is to modify the word Paris. Where we learn to swim, that is to modify the word river. In some sentence, you can see that they have what is called comma. So how are they different from the first one, the house where, and another one, Paris where? So you can see that if you are using the comma, so it means that Those information in the comma is like the extra information. It's possible to remove that. Okay, so we can say Paris is the most beautiful city in the world, and the meaning is complete. Everyone can understand this. But what about the house? And if we just remove those information, where I was born, we don't need that. Let's try. The house is a very special place. So which house we are talking about? The house where I was born. So that's the reason why we need where I was born to be there in order to modify which house that we are talking about. Okay, I'll always remember the river. Which river you're talking about? Is that Ping River? Is that the river Thames? It's the Chao Phraya, or it's where? So where we learn to swim. Okay, so we are talking only about the river where we learn to swim, not other rivers. Okay, next is when. When is used in order to introduce the information that relates to a time. So it can be like the actual time of a day, week, a year, or even an era, like a very long period. The 80s were a time when big hair was considered fashionable. I love casual Fridays when we get to wear jeans to work. Cool. Yesterday was the day when I met my husband for lunch. Okay, so that will be the same. A time, Fridays, the day, that is about the time. So we just use the word when to introduce the information right after it. Okay, but for the word Fridays, we just use comma. So it means that when we get to wear jeans to work, that is extra information. Next one is why. Why is used to introduce about the reason. Okay, so in this case, it's possible to add the word the reason, but it's possible to remove, to omit this. For example, I don't know the reason why he got angry. Or it's possible to say, I don't know why he got angry. Or, do you know the reason why the sky is blue? Or, do you know why the sky is blue? So it's possible for two ways. You can use the word the reason, or you just remove the word the reason. That's fine. Anyway, when we are using the word why as the relative adverb, that is to mention, that is something related to the reason anyway. Okay, some of you may have some kind of questions about the comparative form and the superlative forms of adverbs. I have to say that we apply exactly the same rules as the adjective. If it is short, we would do this way, like er or est. If it is pretty long, and most of the adverbs are pretty long, that will be more or most. But like the word than, or even like the article the, we normally use exactly the same way as the adjective. Alright, hope you enjoyed this video, and see you again in the next video. Bye!